Another category which is key for any agency is definitely utilization, right? The more billable work your agency is doing, the more revenue you're going to have. So ultimately, you really need to steer that utilization to make sure everyone is bringing in enough revenue. So I'm going to look into the operations category. And I think one of the key KPIs any agency is tracking is billable utilization, right? So I'm going to click on billable utilization by person. And this is the key report I think any agency would track. And instead of last month, let's focus on this month's data. Okay, so I have changed the date here. And here we're also including some placeholders. So for those of you who do not use placeholders, which is, by the way, a premium feature, placeholders, that's something that we would use to schedule work on people who haven't joined our company yet. So if you're planning to hire a designer leader this month, but you don't know who it's going to be yet, you're already scheduling work on that person. So when they come and join you, the work is already planned for them. So I will just exclude them, exclude placeholders by selecting the person type of a user. And let's look at this month and how billable our team was. So let me guide you through these specific fields. The first one is capacity. Let's take a look at Charles Blake here. Capacity is how many hours per month does the person typically work? So he works 160 hours per month. Available would be if the person took any time off, how many available hours did they actually have this month? So this person had 154 hours available because they took time off one day. Worked means how many hours the person has actually logged in productive. So this is driven directly from the timesheets of the person. So Charles had 154 hours available, but he actually worked 291. So he actually worked overtime. And if you want to see how many hours he did overtime, you can add an extra field here, which is called overtime. Okay. So he had 137 hours overtime. Out of the hours that he actually worked, 233 hours were billable. That means hours that were worked on a client project, and the project manager has declared them as billable. Then to actually track utilization, most of the companies compare out of the hours that Charles has worked, how many were billable, and they put those two in the ratio. So the ratio here, or the utilization itself, is 80%. Okay, Charles was 80% utilized because he worked 933 billable hours from the sum of total hours that he did. Now, a lot of the companies have a target for utilization, and this is something that we can use in Insights as well. So I can actually put a target that I have a goal. Everyone in my company should be 85% billable, okay? If they're billable below that number, I want that number to be 5 with the rest, right? So we have 2 people here which were not as billable as we wanted to. But have in mind that you are having differences here between the hours people actually worked and the hours they were available. So if your people have overtime, you'll have a discrepancy here. Or if your people do not track time, you'll have a huge difference between available hours and worked hours. So an alternative metric for utilization would be comparing the billable hours the person did with the total hours they had available. So let's look at Lucy here, okay? So if we compare billable hours with the worked hours, she was 75% billable or utilized. But I want to compare the billable hours she did with the hours she actually had at her disposal this month. So I will add another metric here called billable versus available. And let's pull it here just next to the other utilization metrics. So you can see that now this number has dropped to 41% of the time. It's really important to look at this figure if your employees are not really tracking all of their time, right? Because a lot of time people forget to track a day or they just miss some hours. So if that's your case, then look at that metric as well.